Coming up on Food, Health, and You. While sugar is bad, fake sugar may be even worse.
It's been argued that the upcoming generation is the first that will live less long than their parents.
Chemicals, artificial colours, replace the brightly coloured fruit and vegetables that actually have really nutritive effects.
It surprises me every day how far we're going to manufacture foods.
Oh, I'm eating this strawberry flavour and I'm getting this strawberry colour, but actually we're getting nothing of the nutrition that's normally associated with a strawberry.
Our body is recognizing the chemical constituents of that, and our brain thinks we're eating something when we're actually not.
We don't actually think that the bad habits we have now can take away the quality of our final years.
Even though I wasn't overweight and I was very slim, I still use that as a free pass to eat just whatever I wanted to, no matter what the consequences were. Really, I didn't have any nutrition whatsoever in my life.
Nowadays, food and marketing go hand in hand, and it's quite insidious. Food manufacturers know what people tend to respond to.
And at a McDonald's strawberry milkshake, you know, the last time that I counted, there was close to 59 ingredients in that strawberry milkshake, and none of them were strawberries or milk.
I'm Dr. Carl Bamlet, brain cancer survivor, chiropractor, certified nutrition specialist, and the modern caveman. I'm going to show you how to change your modern life using wisdom from the past. The food that we choose to put in our mouths is important to our health. Sometimes you don't think twice about it, but you should. Sugar or sugar substitutes are hidden in nearly all processed foods. Many of the foods that contain dairy, gluten, corn, and soy contain plenty of sugar or fake sugars as well. While sugar is bad, fake sugar may be even worse.
Artificial sweeteners can be problematic in many different ways. There's actually some potential case studies and connections done to artificial sweeteners actually triggering or exacerbating thyroid disease, potentially triggering or exacerbating other types of immune conditions.
America's health is really not very good. It's been argued that the upcoming generation is the first that will live less long than their parents. Nutritionally, we have an extraordinarily polluted artificial diet in this country.
Fake sugars or sugar substitutes are in any food that tastes sweet but doesn't have the chemical structure that we call sugar. Most of these are commonly created in a laboratory. Some of the most common and dangerous artificial sweeteners on the market today include aspartame, sorbitol, sucralose, and xylitol, just to name a few.
I hate fake sweeteners. You know, a little bit of stevia, maybe a little bit of stevia, but I think the biggest issue is we have to train ourselves off of needing to have sweet. We really do, because there's this thing called sugar dysregulation. So here you are thinking, hey, I'm fooling my body. No, you're not. Your brain's going, hey, I'm tasting sweet, so I'm gonna have the same insulin reaction I would to if I was eating sugar.
A lot of chemicals are designed to replace what would naturally occur as nutrients. So chemicals, artificial colours, replace the brightly coloured fruit and vegetables that actually have really nutritive effects. And instead of a nutritive effect, we're getting a red chemical, say, that has no effect at all. Or we're getting the flavour effect of artificial flavours, but we're not having the nutritive effect of natural flavours. So basically, our brains are still going, oh, I'm eating this strawberry flavour and I'm getting this strawberry colour, but actually we're getting nothing of the nutrition that's normally associated with a strawberry.
This sweet taste still affects insulin, but without that sugar molecule, the insulin doesn't have anything to affect. This can lead to insulin resistance and often even diabetes. So, what is insulin? Insulin is a hormone that is made in our pancreas. And what it does is it takes the sugar that we eat in our everyday meals and it puts it into the cells once it goes into the bloodstream. So it's taking sugar out of the bloodstream and putting it into our cells. And what happens in the cases of diabetes and insulin resistance, diabetes is where we have too much sugar in the blood because the insulin can't keep up with how much sugar that is being consumed. So we get too much sugar in the bloodstream and that sugar starts damaging us. And that oftentimes is because the pancreas can't make enough insulin to keep up with it. Insulin resistance is where the body just stops using the insulin the way it should, and we just have that sugar still floating in the bloodstream. So we know that consuming too much sugar can harmfully affect your blood insulin levels and can lead to insulin resistance. But what about fake sugars? Scientists are still studying these effects. However, the results suggest that artificial sweeteners may potentially have some of the same negative effects on insulin and weight as sugar does. In a report published in the Canadian Medical Association Journal, researchers analyzed 37 studies on artificial sweeteners to see if they were successful for weight management. These studies followed more than 400,000 people over 10 years. Artificial sweeteners did not appear to help people to lose weight. Instead, observational studies suggest that people who regularly consume them have a higher risk for weight gain, obesity, diabetes, and heart disease. Fake sugars can also elevate leptin levels, which are markers of obesity. Insulin concentration and leptin resistance are associated with obesity. Even with all these proven medical problems, fake sugar is still allowed in so many of our foods. Food companies want to achieve the lowest price point and bliss point together. The bliss point is just the right amount of saltiness, sweetness, or richness, the perfect combination that will jolt our endorphins so that we favor the taste and makes us to want it again and again, an effect of our dopamine. Dopamine has been linked to addiction and is partially responsible for that happy feeling we get with sugary foods and drugs.
I like to deal with sugar as an addiction, and I therefore treat it the way I think of treating other addictions, which is it's time to quit. If I have a friend who's smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day, I don't start recommending a nicotine moderation program to them. I say, dude, when are you going to quit smoking? You know? So for me, I like to think of a bright line, which is a clear, unambiguous boundary that you just don't cross. And if you're an alcoholic, you have to have a bright line for alcohol. And I think a lot of us need a bright line for sugar, which means no sugar ever. In my experience, it's a lot easier to quit sugar than to try to dabble with it or moderate it or cut down on it. Now, that's not true for everybody, but it's true in my experience for more than half of the population. They do better quitting sugar entirely than trying to have some. When I personally talk about sugar, here's what I mean. I mean anything added to your food to make it sweeter. So I'm talking about table sugar. I'm also talking about honey, molasses, maple syrup. I'm talking about artificial sweeteners too, like aspartame. I'm talking about stevia. I'm talking about agave. I'm talking about things that you add to your food to make it sweeter. And the reason is that the taste buds, the sweet taste buds, have a direct connection to the addiction centers in the brain. So if you're adding stuff to your food to make it sweeter, you're going to trigger that addiction center.
It surprises me every day how far we're going to manufacture foods. Example of that would be looking at a McDonald's strawberry milkshake. The last time that I counted, there was close to 59 ingredients in that strawberry milkshake, and none of them were strawberries or milk. So I think we're entering into this era now where we're manufacturing food and our body is recognizing the chemical constituents of that, and our brain thinks we're eating something when we're actually not.
This bliss point has funded a huge food-like substance industry, mimicking the qualities of actual food. Let's look at these 2 food products. This one has 5 ingredients that everyone recognizes. This one does not. They are both marketed as beef products, but are they? We know that artificial sweeteners can create an insulin and leptin response without increasing sugar levels in the bloodstream. Our body has sweet receptors on our tongue and in our digestive tract that signal to our body that something sweet is coming. But are all artificial sweeteners created equal? Let's take a look at how this contributes to insulin and leptin resistance, which contributes to diabetes and obesity. Most of these artificial sweeteners are not recognized by our body and do not turn into sugar in our body. Therefore, they have 0 calories or minimal calories. So we are tricked into thinking they are a calorie-free drink that is good for us, like water is. But these fake sweeteners still make our body's hormonal system respond via insulin and leptin, contributing to diabetes and obesity. Water does not do that. What type of hormonal response would this can of soda get in an equivalent sugar-filled drink? So now this artificially sweetened soda has no calories in it, but it is still sweetened, otherwise we would just drink water as the alternative. Here we have the equivalent amount of sugar in a sugar-filled beverage counterpart. Packaged food in our supermarkets scream healthy messages at us. They boldly declare they are low-fat, 99% sugar-free, and high in fiber. But what does this really mean? Low-fat really means lots of added sugar. Sugar-free really means lots of added fake sweeteners. High in fiber really means high in carbohydrates. But did you know that wheat flour is 87% carbohydrates with minimal existing nutrition processed and bleached out of it? These healthy messages are being told to us, but you really need to think twice before you put them in your mouth.
The average American consumes 150 pounds of additives annually. So that includes preservatives, right, and colorings and flavorings, 150 pounds annually. And so what does that equate to over the course of somebody's life? What is the toxic load that that's putting on somebody's liver, their digestive system, their kidneys? What is that doing, again, to their body? Is that creating health or is that creating sickness and disease? Additive that I have a personal problem with, and I know that I'm not the only person that feels this way, is GMO crops and glyphosate. The research is just so cut and dry as far as where the truth is on that additive. The World Health Organization recently said that it's reasonable to believe that glyphosate causes cancer, but when you go to the grocery store and you're in those center aisles in that grocery store, pretty much everything there has glyphosate in it, from the sunflower oil or the soybean oil or the safflower oil, right? Or those chemically sprayed grains. It's unreal. It's so difficult to get away from those things.
We often pick up our bad behaviors by thinking we can't live forever and the bad habits will only take a few years off of our life. We don't actually think that the bad habits we have now can take away the quality of our final years. Many of us have had parents or grandparents who've passed away in poor health. Their final years were miserable, with death being a form of mercy after a long, painful experience. Is that what we want for ourselves? If not, what can we change? Improving the diet is one area in which we can all improve. The biggest difficulty for you now is breaking the habit. Nearly everything we buy seems to be full of these highly processed ingredients.
Even though I wasn't overweight and I was very slim, I still use that as a free pass to eat just whatever I wanted to, no matter what the consequences were. Really, I didn't have any nutrition whatsoever in my life. I never ate any vegetables. I never drank any water. I don't know how I wasn't so dehydrated. And just like so much sugar. I was addicted to sugar like really early on. Started having terrible rosacea acne, which is just like your whole skin is red. You've got these bumps. It's not even necessarily pimples, but it's just like the whole face is so ferociously aggravated. And I was getting teased at school because of it, and kids definitely are pretty bad about those things. And as a result, I was having all these stomach issues, and I thought it was because I was being teased in school, and I didn't know what was going on. I kept having to go home because I was at school having all these terrible stomach crampings, and My doctor thought it was IBS. So, at the age of 13, I was on IBS, and then my dermatologist prescribed me Accutane, which is a very harsh acne medicine that you shouldn't even be on for more than like 5 months, and I was on it for 7 months at the time. In 2010, I started dating somebody, and he kind of pointed me into this documentary which talked about how bad sugar was on the body. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is like the answer to all of my problems. So I just wanted to try it out for like a weekend. I cut out anything sugar related, and as a result, I cut out bread as well. And within 4 days, it was amazing. It was like this miracle. My skin was clearer, the redness went away. I don't know, it's just like so amazing, like all this new information that started coming up, and I heard a lot of negative things against the paleo diet, but it was working for me. And I didn't know why, but I was like, this is great. At first it was really boring because I was like, okay, I can't eat sugar, I can't eat like candy, all my favorite things, like what is there left to eat? Because I didn't know how to eat real food, I didn't even know how to cook, I just kind of knew how to bake. And I had to actually like get on the internet, look up recipes. I started following a bunch of paleo blogs and just experimenting with different things. So I got out of the rut of just only eating like eggs and bacon for breakfast and meat and veggies for dinner. And then afterwards, that's when I started getting into more exotic recipes. And I got really big into paleo bloggers online and was seeing what they were cooking and following them on Instagram. I'm feeding myself nutrition. I have so much energy. I'm not sluggish in the morning, and I don't have these terrible carb crashes where before, like I was walking around pretty much in constant hangry mode.
Nowadays, food and marketing go hand in hand, and it's quite insidious. Food manufacturers know what people tend to respond to, especially people like children who just see bright colors and fun images and dogs running and somebody eating or drinking their favorite processed food, right? So they know these little tricks, they know the human psyche, they know what looks appealing, and thus that's pushing people towards a lot of these processed foods that are easy to wrap in pretty packaging and colors and whatnot. But remember, real food is something that you can actually grow and you can pluck and you can catch. It's not Lucky Charms or something growing on a tree, because of course we can't find those in nature.
Processed food has been a disaster, in terms of malnutrition, obesity, neurological disease, infertility, you name it, really. It's been a disaster. A combination of factors. One, because it generally lacks important ingredients that are important for health. And two, it usually contains a bunch of stuff that is important for getting sick. Persistent organic pollutants, pesticide residues, hormones, whatever. Stuff that your body fights valiantly to get rid of, but if you get too much of it, you get overwhelmed, doesn't work anymore, and you start having serious disease.
Just how negative are these highly processed foods, you may still be asking? That is a great question, and no long-term human studies have been done to test the impact of these processed food-like substances compared to real foods. But from 1932 to 1942, Dr. Francis Pottinger, MD, carried out a feeding study on cats, which had astounding results. The cats were fed either a predominantly cooked and processed diet or a more raw food diet. The two groups had distinctly different results. Pottinger's findings included skeletal deformities, behavioral disorders, and fertility issues in the cats who ate a processed food diet. The raw food cats continued to live and reproduce much healthier than the processed food cats. The Price Pottinger Institute still exists and promotes Dr. Pottinger's findings. Now we all realize humans are not cats. The recent documentary, Super Size Me, does illustrate the effect of highly processed foods, but on the health of one individual over a short period of time. Super Size Me showed us that eating a highly processed diet for only 1 month was detrimental to humans' health. We can only imagine what would happen over a 10-year feeding study in humans. Or do we already see what it's doing? In a moment, we're going to reveal what really happens to us over a 10-year period if we continue to eat the same way. But first, I have something important to share with you. You're watching episode 8 of the Food, Health, and You series, Are Fake Sweeteners Worse Than Sugar? I'm Dr. Carl Bamlet, and for 24 hours, I've put this episode online for free for you to watch because I want to help make a difference to your life and the lives of your loved ones. I strongly encourage you to share this episode with as many people as possible in the next 24 hours so that they can get access to the same life-changing information. While the series is incredibly powerful, it's just the tip of the iceberg. I'd like to invite you to join the Food, Health, and You movement. Our mission is to uncover the truth about nutrition and health so that you and your loved ones can live your best lives possible. After watching this episode, I recommend that you check out the link below where you'll be taken to a page where you can join us by ordering the entire Food, Health, and You Complete Implementation System. This includes the entire 8 episodes of this series, plus you'll also receive an additional 4 bonus episodes that are unseen elsewhere, yet will have a potentially dramatic impact on your health and that of your family. As an owner of the Food, Health, and You Complete Implementation System, you'll also receive from us comprehensive recipe books, transformational roadmaps, and of course those amazing bonus episodes, which are only available to members. It's our mission to deliver to the world the nutritional truth about preventing disease, losing weight, and adding years to your life, while still loving your food, never going hungry, and without harming your body. The majority of our society is already eating highly processed foods for every meal. Our rates of infertility treatments are skyrocketing, just like the cats in Pottinger's study were unable to reproduce. Dental and bone deformities are very common in humans, just like Price and Pottinger described.
In our bodies, when we're having a diet that's primarily processed foods, is a block to a normal body function. When we remove those things from our diet, our body's default is to be healthy, and it knows how to do that on its own, really. And so we kind of end up being our worst enemy by ingesting processed foods. Having normal hormone function, normal blood sugar levels, normal thought processes, normal digestion happens as the side effect of not having this block that's stopping our bodies from doing what it knows how to do, which is to be healthy.
Another study done by Weston A. Price, a dentist who studied the effects of processed foods on indigenous populations who were previously unexposed to processed foods in the early 20th century. His results echoed Pottinger's. This shows just how long this battle has been going on.
The best option that people can have is to eat organic, avoiding artificial foods.
Well, here's what they all agree on. They all agree that we should move away from processed foods towards whole foods. The other thing they agree on is we need to eat more plant foods, especially vegetables, leafy, non-starchy vegetables. Now, outside of those two things, there's very little agreement. Now, my personal take on it is, as far as what the overall body of scientific evidence says is compatible with health, is basically unprocess your diet, eat more plant foods. So one nice rule of thumb that you can use to help you think of what to eat and what not to eat is, if it doesn't run, fly, swim, or grow out of the ground, don't eat it.
So as Ari Whitten has just mentioned, there are many different lifestyles that work. Whether you follow vegan, vegetarian, paleo, Mediterranean, ketosis, or any other lifestyle, the key to making it work well for you and your body is making sure that you eat as little processed foods as you can and eat mostly plants. I myself follow a paleo lifestyle. With paleo, around 80% of what you eat comes from vegetables and fruits, while the rest comes from nuts, seeds, oils, fish, fermented foods, and meat. When you eat mostly organic, you're giving yourself real food in forms that your body can actually absorb, nourish, and regenerate from without unwanted side effects.
Because we're getting real foods that are nourishing and providing us with our core macronutrients, our fats, our proteins, our carbohydrates, in forms that our body actually recognizes. Remember, these chemical-laden and chemical-processed foods are largely foreign. We didn't have these additives growing in trees or in fields, and so our bodies don't really know how to process them. Paleo foods are naturally devoid of these, so it gives us real foods in forms we see that we can actually absorb and nourish and regenerate from.
Coming up, we have Kippy, who turned her life around when she cut out processed foods. Now she runs a successful business, sharing her favorite organic and vegan-friendly food, ice cream.
So I started this company 8 years ago with a business partner that he's the one who actually taught me about paleo and ingredients and what goes into your body, how it affects you. And I always knew I was going to start my own business. I just thought it was going to be in fashion. I had no idea it was going to be a non-dairy organic ice cream. I started this company with the full intention, and after 8 years, the intention's still there, just to do what I do and to inspire people and let them figure out their path to how they can have their own health and what foods elevates them. So from the time I was a little kid to the time I was 35, I suffered from headaches and migraines. And as I got older, they became more and more devastating, to the point where at 30, I'm calling in sick now to work and just keeping in my apartment with closed shades and taking hot showers. The doctors were always like, you're not wearing your glasses, or there's stress at home, or change something that you're doing. No one had ever said to me, change my diet, to take power into my own hands and to change my own health. And when I was 30, I went to the doctor in New York and he prescribed medication. And I just thought it was so silly to take medication at 30 for headaches and migraines. So when I was living in New York and I came to LA, something had never ever been told to me before. As we were talking about health and food and just how to figure things out, someone said, you know, Kippy, you can take your power and your health into your own hands. And I was like, what? That had never been said to me, that I actually have the power to change my health around my own self. And when we talked more about it, it was, okay, I have the power to change my diet, and I actually have the power of my own health in my own hands. Not a doctor, not a physician, not anyone else, but myself and the choices that I make to put inside my body. And I changed my diet to a raw paleo diet, and I introduced a raw fat like coconut cream and raw honey. The headaches and migraines went away completely. So I've been on a paleo diet, from raw to a cooked paleo diet, for 8 years. And I am 43, I own a business that we're trying to go global. I work 12 to 14 hour days, 6 to 7 days a week. And if it wasn't for my diet, there's no way that's possible. It's just, I look at my friends who are younger and succumb to the stress or succumb to like a poor diet, and I see that going to like medications and then dealing with the side effects of those medications, whereas I just deal with the issues of, okay, how can I put something in my body that gives me energy, that gives me nourishment, and keeps me from aging as much as possible.
I highly recommend Kippy's Ice Cream Store. And if you're in the Venice area, I recommend you check it out. For everyone else, here's how you make coconut ice cream for yourself. Not only is it important that we change the food we are eating for a healthy lifestyle, but we must also look after our physical health. With our modern life, office jobs are starting to show their effect on our body. Rounded shoulders and forward head posture are a common side effect of this work. There are some exercises you can perform to counteract the constant pressure from the office job. What you need are a few tools to help you get a little more out of your park workout. Push-ups are a great way to get an upper body workout, but for some, it can be painful on the wrists and even gets a little boring. To mix it up, you can use a device like these, which places your wrists in a more favorable position and adds a challenge for all the small stabilizer muscles in the shoulder and back. Rows are another great exercise to strengthen the back to counteract the tightening of the pectorals. Lastly, pull-ups are another great way to balance out the function of the shoulder girdle and help correct your shoulder posture from that office job. There are many different artificial sweeteners that are put into our foods. The most common ones you should be aware of and avoiding are aspartame, saccharin, and sucralose. These are often found in foods labeled sugar-free and low-calorie, like sodas, fruit juice and vegetable juices, with over 5,000 different other products. Sweeteners that are not so well known are acesulfame potassium, cyclamate, neotame, and mannitol, which are used in diet sodas, chewing gum, and sugar-free yogurts. Also look out for synthetic sweeteners number E950 through E968, but it's best to avoid any E numbers. These fake sugars are not ideal for a healthy lifestyle and are incredibly sweet and unrecognizable by our body, causing confusion, including insulin and leptin resistance, even though they don't have an impact on blood glucose. This is because our taste buds can signal and release hormones and digestive substances. When you do your next food shop, read the ingredients before you put it in your basket. Golden rule to follow is if there is anything you can't pronounce or don't recognize in the ingredients, don't eat it. Also, if there are more than 5 ingredients, don't eat that product either. Not all sweeteners are created equal. There are some sweeteners that are worse than others. Sweeteners like stevia, xylitol, and erythritol have fewer side effects than most. Stevia is one we have all heard of. It is a sweetener extracted from the leaves of the stevia plant. Stevia has been used for centuries in South America to sweeten foods and drinks. While fresh leaves are reported to be 15 to 20 times sweeter than sugar, extracts from the leaves can be up to 300 times sweeter. So even though it isn't as bad as the other synthetic sweeteners, it will still have a significant effect on insulin sensitivity. The best choice is use natural sweeteners like honey and maple syrup. Honey and maple syrup are great because we eat these now in the same way they've existed for thousands of years. But conveniently, we don't have to get stung by bees or lick trees to enjoy these natural sweets. If I require a sweet taste in my cooking, I like to use honey.
There's a lot of alternatives to sugar, and one of the sugars that I recommend using if you want to use it as a sweetener are organic dates, and you can have them either crushed or in syrup, and you can have raw organic honey, unpasteurized and unfiltered, or you can have grade A maple syrup, and that's raw as well. And all these are really great alternatives because they're naturally found in our environment. There's no process involved in it whatsoever. And so these are, I feel like, the only real sugars out there if you want to use a real sweetener.
MSG, a food additive created by a Japanese food scientist in 1908 in search of wealth, has been long suspected of causing liver damage, obesity, and diabetes, with supporting evidence in animal studies. Many people eliminate this synthetic substance and feel much better, despite the FDA's position that MSG is safe. This book, entitled The Chemical Maze, is a handy guide to illustrate how many synthetic food additives exist. Preservatives to emulsifiers, coloring agents to artificial sweeteners, we don't fully understand how these chemicals affect us, yet we eat them at almost every meal. If it's a meaty flavor you want, have a steak instead of MSG. If sweet is what you crave, remember to avoid any synthetic sweeteners number E950 to E968 and choose a natural sweetener like honey and maple syrup. Our food supply is an obvious problem. A problem that the significance has been downplayed dramatically by companies selling us food. Since these highly processed foods started to become available at the start of World War I, we had wise doctors and civilians warning of the effects. We had dentists traveling the world noting the effects of these foods on humans, and medical doctors doing 10-year feeding studies to illustrate the negative effects on animals eating processed foods. Yet the multi-billion-dollar advertising budgets have managed to win thus far.
The information that we're being sold on the TV, in our newspapers, right, in our magazines, it's literally being bought and delivered to us instead of the truth of how food can heal you. We're consistently getting this message on food is a tool to make you happier. Food is a tool to make you feel good. Food is a tool to make you forget. Look at the commercials. Everybody that's eating a burger and fries, right? Everybody that's eating potato chips, everybody that's eating candy, do they look sad? Do they look depressed? They look like they're having the time of their life. And so what is that doing to well, we want to have the time of our life. We want to experience that too, so we're going to run to those foods. Look at the drug ads. Everything that we're delivered right in this country right now is literally being bought and paid for.
We've been consuming these foods regularly for only 3 to 4 generations, and we are getting more obese and sick as time goes by. We know that sugar and fake sugars affect our insulin and leptin negatively, which correlates with diabetes and obesity. We know the information, but knowing the information does nothing without action. There is good news. In Pottinger's 10-year feeding study on cats, one of the cats escaped and started eating a raw, natural diet that a wild animal would normally eat, and the cat's health issues started to correct. In much the same way, we hear about people who have changed their diet and benefited dramatically, becoming heart disease-free, cancer-free, as well as improved digestive issues, mental health, losing weight, and the testimonies go on. They took action. An old saying sums it up quite nicely. Without knowledge, action is useless, and knowledge without action is futile.
The number one suggestion I would make to avoid food additives is eating real food. If you can't pluck it, if you can't grow it, if you can't fetch it or kill it, it's probably not something you want to consider as food. So if we stay in the perimeter of the grocery store, if you think about it, the perimeter has the bulk foods, it has the fresh vegetables and fruits, it has the meats and seafoods, etc. And the middles are where all the aisles are of the packaged processed goods. That's a really simple trick to minimizing your additives, and be careful that you're not drinking your calories. Because a lot of times beverages have food colorings and chemical sweeteners and all kinds of things that are, of course, what we would call food additives. Stick with things that are real, that are found in nature, in the perimeter of the grocery store.
It is never too late to take back control of your life. Stop listening to the marketing. Stop listening to the convenient truths. Stop going for the easiest foods. Start small. Stop buying food that is full of numbers, sugar, or sugar substitutes, and names you don't recognize.
The best option that people can have is to eat organic, avoiding artificial foods, avoiding polluted foods, or at least eating foods with less likelihood of pesticide residues and such.
Take these recommendations. As you change your diet, your energy will increase. As it increases, you need to get active. This activity helps create more energy and helps insulin and blood sugar regulation. Remember, small, manageable steps with your goal in mind are the path to success. Don't listen to marketing claims. The health claims on food are sales pitches. Don't listen to them. Companies pay lots of money to get those advertisements like low fat, sugar-free, high fiber on their product. Learn to read labels, look at nutritional data, and make the best decision. Let's take a look at these two products. This store-bought sauce says light and free, and yet it contains 32% sugar. This one, 99% fat-free, and it is 15% sugar. I recommend making your own dressing using these simple ingredients: balsamic vinegar, thyme, garlic if you want, extra virgin olive oil, pink Himalayan rock salt, and black pepper. Close these ingredients into a jar with a lid and mix thoroughly. With this wonderful recipe, you know exactly what you're eating. No sweeteners, no nasties, and that salad may be doing as much good as you previously hoped. Coming up next time on Food, Health, and You. Soy is nearly in all processed foods. What is the big deal?
Most people aren't really eating the beans. They're having tofu or they're having chicken meat, right?
I think the early initial reports that we do have are very frightening.
I think soy is one of the worst foods you can actually eat, simply because the majority of it is GMO, genetically modified.
When glyphosate is sprayed on these products, it actually becomes a part of that product.
We're seeing little girls at age 8 and 9 starting their period.
I think we need more information before we start the most massive feeding experiment on humans in history.
Hi, I'm Dr. Carl Bamlet, and I want to thank you for watching this episode. Now, it's crucial for your health and your family's health that you take action and integrate these important nutritional enhancements into your life right away. And to make this as easy as possible for you, I have created a complete implementation system that is designed to make this process faster and easier so that you can greatly improve your health and well-being and that of your family. The Food, Health, and You Complete Implementation System is your key to achieving those goals that might have seemed impossible, such as losing weight, living longer, and even preventing and reversing disease. What we're offering is huge, so I want to show you exactly what you will be getting in this system if you join us today. You will receive the full 8 episodes of this series without adverts, plus 4 bonus, never seen before episodes to start your journey to better health and wellness today. These 4 bonus episodes are incredibly important, and what you will learn may go against everything you've been conditioned to think about food and your health. In fact, these 4 bonus episodes are so controversial that we will never be able to release them to the general public. But these bonus episodes are only a small part of the full package you'll receive if you join today. You will also receive a companion guide for every single episode. These companion guides will accelerate and consolidate your learning, allowing you to make these important improvements to your own health and your family's health faster than everyone else. And you'll be able to do this much faster than those who made the choice to go it alone, instead of investing in their health and their future with the full Food, Health, and You Complete Implementation System. Now, I know how busy life can get, particularly at mealtimes. So I've included a comprehensive collection of my favorite recipes into a book I call the Food, Health, and You Transformational Cookbook. If you follow this cookbook, I can guarantee that you will find it effortless to nutritionally enhance your meals while keeping them tasty, simple to cook, and family friendly. Finally, I've included something I like to call my super bonus book, the top 77 superfoods for healing. This book will make it as easy as possible to choose the right foods that are scientifically proven to fast track your healing, no matter what the condition might be. In fact, there is so much jam-packed into this 50-page book, it's insane. As you can see, I've made sure that my team and I have put together a complete system that I believe is really your best chance of success. If you choose to take that important first step today, you will be able to secure not only your own health, but the health of your children and the health of your extended friends and family. I strongly recommend you click the link below, where you'll be taken to a page where you can join me and the rapidly growing movement towards better health and wellness. Start your transformation today. This special offer is closing shortly, so make sure that you order the Food, Health, and You Complete Implementation System before it's too late. Join us in our movement towards consuming less processed foods and for better health and well-being.